This Road to Prosperity video is sponsored by Vandergraaf. Visit vandergraaf.com to learn more about how their advanced drum motor technology reduces maintenance costs while delivering reliability and longevity for belt conveyors operating in the harshest of environments.
How do you at Dodge kind of come to that conclusion? Or I guess as an economist, how is that kind of decided? How do you sort of point out, you say, okay, May's the time, 25 basis points. What's kind of the process of coming up with that number in that time?
Sure. Well, part of it is the Federal Reserve announces when they're meeting, and their next meeting is in May, so that seemed the appropriate time. But what we look at is overall the track of where core inflation is and where we think the different subcomponents will be over the course of the year. And one of the big elements pushing up inflation currently, especially core inflation, is shelter prices, whether that's home prices or rents. And we know that just based on the way rents are calculated, right, you sign your lease once a year, that those prices will start rolling over, at least in the CPI math, a little bit later in 2023. The Fed knows this. So we think that part, doing that calculation, looking at where rates are, where they need to be, that gives us that one more rate increase in May at 25 basis points.
Gotcha. Absolutely. So how are these interest rates kind of affecting or impacting the construction industry as a whole? You know, I know some of the recent legislation that you mentioned in your quarter one report, IIJA, Inflation Reduction Act, CHIPS Act, those have been some big boons for the industry. But how are these rates affecting the industry? And is there kind of a clash between rising interest rates and some of the funding that's coming in?
Yeah, clash is a good word. At the heart of it, the construction sector is a very cyclical and a very interest rate sensitive sector. And those higher rates are raising the cost of borrowing and really changing the calculus of a no-go decision on a project. But like you said, that weight isn't spread equally across the sectors. If we look at, say, the residential sector, if we look at the income property types, things like offices and warehouses and hotels, those are certainly feeling the effects of not just higher interest rates, but now tightening lending standards, impacting the decision on whether to go forward with a project. The other side of that, though, is that's somewhat balanced out by growth in manufacturing, growth in infrastructure, fueled by those pieces of legislation. The end result being that construction sector in sum is essentially sitting flat.
Thank you to Vandergraaf for sponsoring this Road to Prosperity video. To learn more about how their advanced drum motor technology reduces maintenance costs while delivering reliability and longevity for belt conveyors operating in the harshest of environments, visit vandergraaf.com.